And hello and welcome to On the Bench podcast, the podcast for scale modelers, by scale modelers, all about scale models. Established in 2016, the Scale Modeler Supply has developed a comprehensive range of premium acrylic lacquer paints designed specifically with the scale modeler in mind. Certified Australian made, SMS paints are tough and durable with a fast drying time that have been designed to use straight from the bottle, taking all the guesswork out of airbrushing. Simply shake and spray. The ever-growing range of SMS paints will suit all types of model builders, be it military, aircraft, cars, train, science fiction or gunpla. SMS premium acrylic lacquer paints will have a colour to suit you. SMS products are available through a trusted network of stores across Australia, New Zealand, Singapore, the US, and are also now available for the first time in the UK through From Model Centre. Check the SMS website at www.scalemodeler.com.au to find your closest stockist. These paints are on my bench and I use them all the time, so I know that you will not be disappointed. And hello and welcome to the show, which is a bit different this particular fortnight because unfortunately we have been plunged back into lockdown for the fourth time. So I've got via video link, which is being bounced off a satellite and a hamster desperately sort of running around in a little wheel. I've got Ian.
G'day Dave, g'day Julian, and g'day listeners.
And of course we've got Julian also coming in on tin can and string.
Yeah, the wet string, yeah.
Oh, gee, guys, what a bummer, huh?
Yeah, kind of sprung that one up on us, didn't they?
Well, they did. Well, it wasn't them. It was a damn god-awful bloody disease that is still plaguing humanity. And until that gets sorted out where we all get 100% vaccinated or to the point where we reach herd immunity, I can't see how we're ever going to sort of get out of this situation. Anyway, no. I don't want to start rambling on because there's a podcast about
we've
modelling.
all heard it all before, you know.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm just terribly frustrated by the whole situation.
Look, anyone that thinks this thing's going to go away overnight's dreaming.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be one of those things where it just peters out over time, and we'll go, oh wait, that was a thing, wasn't it? Oh yeah.
Yeah, all right. Remember the 2020s? No.
Oh, jeez. All right, well, let's kick off with what you've been doing, Ian, since we last saw you. It's been quite a while, actually.
Been motoring along on my... actually, it's one of the rare times I've bought a kit and then started it pretty much straight away.
Yeah.
Because I was getting nowhere with... Look, as much as I'm loving the Marauder, it was starting to suck me dry with all the pencil work and measurements and all this. Yeah. Real to the mojo. So I needed a Kickstarter, which doing that little figure wheel did helped. And then I went to the local hobby shop, and that's when I discovered that, wow, hang on, there's this whole range of CSM kits. Yeah, so I bought a heap of armoured cars, and I've started, and I'm pretty much close to painting stage on the World War I Canadian machine gun carrier, which is basically a rectangular box on cartwheels with a two-cylinder engine.
There's not a lot to that kit anyway, is it?
Yeah, no, not really. And about 3.5 millimetres of armour up to your waist.
Well.
Early days of armour, guys. But no, it's been a great kit. Really enjoying it. Unusual subject. And in the mail too, we got a really nice score from one of our listeners, Chris Meddings.
Yes.
He's got Inside the Armour publications.
And I must mention that Chris Meddings is actually signed up to come with our Patreon members. And as such, this entire show is dedicated to him this week.
Yes, we love you, Chris. No, I got this really nice book, More Scratch Building Masterclass, which has got some great hints and tips. I've been really just bending the pages in this one pretty severe. It's a great book, highly recommend it to anyone. And a kit. And a kit of a ship I've never heard of, didn't know existed. Had one look at it and thought, wow, this is great. And he said it's a little 1 to 350 scale Claymore class torpedo boat, French one, pre-World War One, about 1907. And I think this is from Inside the Armour Publications as well. So they're doing kits now, which is a great thing. The quality is second to none. Like, I've dealt with a lot of resin kits, and this class is very high up in my book. It is really well molded. The instructions are nice, easy to read. Even comes with 3D printed parts, which are amazing. The gun barrels are like hair thickness. And it is just a stunning little kit. And for anyone who's looking in that sort of subject, when this kit comes out on the market, I would definitely snap it up.
And it's a true multimedia kit because you've got resin.
Actually, no, it's not.
Oh.
Because it's missing the main component of all model kits. There's no plastic. At all. Not one shred of plastic. There's photo etch, there's brass, turned brass, there's 3D printed resin. That's just stunning.
I must say, when the all that stuff arrived in the mail, which was Chris had touched base with me and just asked for our address, and I'd completely forgotten about it, and it rolled up in the mail, and I opened it up, and I've got to say, having a look at that 1/350 scale torpedo boat, I nearly wept. It would look that beautiful.
Yeah, it is amazing.
And I had to hand it over to you because there's just no way. I just do not have the time or the wherewithal to be able to even start it yet. So,
but yeah, no, I'm once I've finished with this machine gun carrier, I'm definitely going to start on this kit. It just screams, build me, build me, build me.
Yeah.
So I want to do Pacific scheme on this one.
There's going to be the white upper.
Yeah, white upper and green from the boot line down.
Oh, that'll look really cool.
That would look quite interesting. The only thing is I've got to figure out which one of the ships was in the Pacific Fleet. And I've done a bit of searching on the internet and gotten absolutely nowhere. So if any of our listeners have any idea which of the Claymore class torpedo boats served in the Pacific, they can let me know. I'd be very grateful. So
again, what was that name of the publication that and the company?
It's Inside the Armour Publications.
Yep. And if you just Google it, that'll pop up and you'll find it all quite easily.
Oh, they got great products there.
Yep.
Yeah, great company, yeah.
To be honest, I would have loved to have built that kit as well. It's just so tasty looking. I just don't think I'm at an experienced enough level to tackle that kind of kit yet.
Oh, it's going to be fun.
Yeah, it's not for the first time builder, that's for sure.
No. So it's not a beginner's kit.
I mean, I could probably pull it off, but I wouldn't have the confidence to pull it off in one shot. Like, I mean, you know, if I buy something for myself, I've got the insurance of going, oh, well, I made an expensive mistake, but I can always buy another kit of the same type and, you know, have a second go and take my knowledge of my first mistake into that. But, you know, this is a one-shot deal, so I wouldn't want to risk it.
Yeah, definitely.
So, Julian, what have you been up to?
A little bit of this and a little bit of that, basically.
Oh, that sounds dangerous.
So a car kit that I was making for a friend, I picked that back up and I finished the construction on it. Like, it's all done construction-wise, which was a pain in the ass getting there because it's a car kit with like a resin trans kit attached to it. You know, like it just adds a lot more like different shapes to it, and you know,
it's got a body kit.
Yeah, it's got a body kit, and you know, it wasn't like the kit that you're supposed to start off with. It was very close to that, but not exactly. Like the rear bumper was different, so I had to do a lot of mucking around to get that whole thing sorted. But now that I'm over that, I'm ready for paint.
Do you need a bit of scratch building?
Oh, not exactly. I cut some pieces off of it that I probably wouldn't have needed to if I had the correct original kit.
Yep.
It's got a gaping hole in the bottom of it where I cut out the entire fuel tank.
Right.
Because it was getting in the way of like the diffuser that I was fitting to it.
Right.
Yeah.
So you got to modify that before you put it back in.
No, I just left the hole. It's just got a gaping hole in the bottom of it now.
At the bottom. Who looks at the bottom?
That's right. Well, not my friend. And if he does, I'll tell him, don't look there then.
Yeah. Just put a Band-Aid over it.
Oh, yuck. He'll think I pulled
Something
it off
glaring.
the bottom of my foot and stuck it on. I've also been working on the special hobby Sagittario, which I regret buying now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I found out that there's actually because you know how like special hobbies bodywork definitely has that smell of handmade about it.
Yeah.
It's not made on CAD, and the thing is, like, I found out that Sword also makes this subject in this scale. And there's enough detail on it that just barely gets ahead of this that I would have bought that one instead.
Yeah.
Because it was probably designed on CAD, probably.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, there are little hinges over the like gun port things on the wings and stuff like that. I don't know. It's got little details that are just not on this kit.
And what scale is it?
48th.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Also, one of the various clubs I'm involved in I got tasked with building a certain kit for their display, and it's an Airfix Hurricane.
48.
Yeah.
New boxing.
Oh, somewhat. Yeah, it's a Mark
If
it's
a new boxing, it shouldn't be too bad a kit.
Yeah.
From what I've heard.
Yeah, you know.
Airfix hit and miss, in my opinion.
Yeah, look, I'm sure it's not bad, right? I would prefer something that's more like it's one of those things. You know how like it's kind of like, because I suspect that Armour Hobby is around the corner from releasing a Hurricane in their beautiful Hurricane, which is like world beating. It's like the best Hurricane there is in 72nd scale. But I think they're probably gonna release it in 48. And having that in the back of my mind, it really sucks any enthusiasm for any other kid out of you, you know? Like, you know that there's a better one coming.
Yeah.
Or at least you have a pretty good idea that one might be coming, right? Because it's just a guess of mine, but it's a fairly sort of educated guess that they'll bring it out. And knowing that, it's kind of like, oh, well, I'll just build this thing out of box just to tick the box. And
yeah. Just do it.
No seat belts. I'm not even going to worry about seat belts. If it doesn't come
canopy closed, so he's going to say it.
Yeah, that's right. And it's got like a birdcage canopy. No one will see that at all.
Yep.
So it'll get built, and then it's like, there you go. You guys asked for it. Here you have it.
Yep. Yeah. So, what about you, Dave? What have you been working
on? Nothing. I've really struggling this last couple of weeks. Sort of the mojo's just gone. And I've got that ship that I'm building, the HMS Roberts, which is at Monitor, and I've just reached a point, and I'm not that it's causing me any issues, but because I've got sort of no enthusiasm, which I think is related to work. I've been pretty busy with work the last couple of weeks, and by the time I sort of get home, I'm just exhausted and completely drained. I don't even have time to do any modelling, so I'm thinking about maybe I need to get something to get my mojo flying again, so I might put that one on the shelf for a while, the ship, and look at just a quick build. I've got a couple of Bandai kits sitting there waiting to go. There's a group build I'm doing with on the TIE Fighter, so maybe I'll get that going. But it just depends. I don't know. I walk into my hobby room, into the build room, and I go, don't even know where to start. You know, but I have been buying kits surprisingly still. I'm in this habit now where I'm traveling around Victoria. I'll have a quick look on my Facebook page, on Google, and see if there's any hobby stores around the area. Yep. And I was driving back through Gippsland and came across one in, where was it now? I can't remember the name of the city now, or the town. Anyway, walked in there and there was a Italeri tracker kit sitting there. And
That's a rare beast.
Well, I blame Frildo from the Model Geeks podcast because he just recently, back in April, posted pictures of his completed tracker.
Yeah, I've seen that. It's a beautiful kit.
Yeah, I know. And
great.
Shark's teeth and everything on it, Ian.
Yeah, I know. I was most impressed.
And I looked at that and I thought, oh, gee, that's a cracker of a kit. And I've always wanted to do, the Royal Australian Navy version of it. So,
yep.
Yeah, on a whim, I just picked it up. But if it all goes pear-shaped, I'll just blame Frildo. It's his fault. So, of course,
you'll be able to knock that out.
Well, it took him 3 years to do his.
Oh, long-term project.
Yeah. I've got quite a few shelf queens in there that I need to get into as well. So, I don't know. I might just spend this afternoon just tidying up my bench space in the room and see if that sort of helps.
That can do it. It certainly worked for me.
Yeah. Clean workbench.
Yeah. There was just so much stuff all over it, and there was so much stuff over it, and dust was actually sort of gathering amongst the paint pots and things like that.
Yeah, my bench is just covered in paint pots at the moment.
Yeah.
I'm trying to source moss green.
I think Kentucky Dave and Mike from Kentucky, they call it reaching that, when your bench reaches that point, it's critical mess.
Yeah.
Yep. Critical mess.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's just amazing how you can start off with I don't know, 3 square feet of empty bench space, and then within an hour you're down to about 3 inches.
Well, the thing that drives me nuts is I've got huge amount of bench space in comparison to you, Ian, and yet I seem to fill it up more rapidly than what you do. I think the more space you got, the more you use, and the more crap you put in there.
Yeah, exactly.
It's got to be a better way, man. It's got to be a better way.
Well, you've got a dedicated room which is large. You can do whatever you want in that room.
Well, you've got a dedicated room as well.
Yeah, but mine's a shoebox.
Oh, jeez.
Yours isn't. So you just got to redesign it.
Yeah,
Make it ergonomic.
Yeah, I know. It's not that the room's not ergonomic the way it's laid out. I think it's just the way I work. And I think maybe I need to... Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to have a think about it.
Have a good, long look, hard look at yourself.
I do, yeah. Shall we have a very short break and then come back and hear? See, we've got a whole heap of mail. The mailbag's
cool.
Absolutely groaning. So
Excellent.
I figure I might have an early and short break, and we'll come back and have a look at the mailbag. And of course, the Falcon has written in with a whole heap of new stuff to talk about as well.
Ooh, goody.
All right, we'll be back shortly. Whether you build aircraft, armour, ships, science fiction, cars or figures, the Fine Scale Modeller magazine provides the how-to information you need to take your modelling to the next level. In each issue of Fine Scale Modeller, you'll find clear how-to features on model assembly and finishing written by experts, reviews of the hottest model kits and products, tips and techniques for assembling, painting and finishing, as well as inspiring photos of readers' models. To find out how you can get your copy of Fine Scale Modeller, go to www.finescale.com. All right, and we're back. And before we move forward, I've just got to remind everybody to have a look and check out all our fellow podcasts. There's a Scale Model podcast with Stuart and Jeff out of Canada. Plastic Model Mojo with Mike and Kentucky Dave in Kentucky, of course. Plastic Posse podcast with Scott, TJ, Doug and John. The Model Geeks podcast with Darren, Scott, Andrew, Whitey and Frildo. And Just Making Conversation with Malcolm and James out of the UK. Drop past, give those guys a visit. And don't forget to rate these shows. It just helps with the data analytics. It helps other people find the shows as well.
And they're a great bunch of guys.
Oh, they are, yeah. We all get on really well and have a great time when we get together. Let's have a look at what came into the mailbag, and there's a whole heap of it. First up, Nick Pallets from Adelaide, South Australia, writes in, G'day, Dave, Ian, and Julian. I only just discovered your podcast about a month ago and had the benefit of listening to your podcast while I'm at work. I have managed to listen to episode 10 of your latest show. Gee, episode 10, he's got a lot to go.
Wow.
And it's been very inspiring and informative as well as very entertaining. I'm writing to ask about how you go about planning a model for competition with all the added photo etch and resin add-ons, etc., available for accuracy in making the kit. What's your process for planning? Obviously, after sufficient research, a clear plan should arrive. Do you write this down for the kit and tick it off as you complete purchasing the add-ons and the changes that you need to be making?
Yeah, I use an Excel spreadsheet that keeps track of all the accessories that go on my kits.
Oh, really?
Yep. Because nothing worse than going like a swap and sell and going, oh, that's a nice aftermarket bit. I might grab that, and then coming home and going, oh, I've already got it.
So when you purchase a kit, you just don't go off and look at what's available for that kit and then order them?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Depends how soon I think I'm going to hook into it,
Yeah.
or how rare the kit is. If it's a rare kit, well, then you jump on all the accessories you can straight away.
Right, okay.
But if it's something like generic and you're not planning on building it for a while, well, you can wait. Wait till you do a big order, and then, like for me, when I do my B&A orders, I don't like paying postage, so the extra money I have to spend to get on that, I just attach bits that I need for other kits.
What about you, Julian?
I have no such plan.
You just go off the fly.
That's right. I mean, I know roughly. Like if it's any aircraft kit, absolutely. Eduard canopy mask.
Yep.
Absolutely. That's a non-negotiable.
Yep.
I generally don't do too much in 48. I'm not at a skill level yet that I could say that I have a chance of winning a 148 category around
the
here.
148 category for aircraft around here is tough.
Yeah.
Really, really tough.
Yeah, it's the big leagues.
Yeah.
It's where all the really serious people go at it.
Yep.
But I'll enter things in 72nd because I think that sometimes the out of box categories for that are kind of lacking in standards. Like it'll usually be like first, second, third, and then everyone else. And first will be stunning, second will be stunning, third will be average, and all the others will be, far, 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 far below that. So I often think, all it takes is like a dip here for me to sort of look at that and go, well, you know what? I could probably just enter something average into that category and scoop out at first, So, I want to lift the standards of the competition. So I'll do it for that. I'm not really trying to win a trophy out of it.
You want to give everyone a kick.
I guess for me,
That's exactly it.
Sort of comes well. Am I going to do out of the box, or am I going to really go in with ship models? It's very rare that I'll just build out of the box because there's always so many aftermarket stuff you can buy. So I'll purchase a kit.
Or should buy.
Yeah. So I'll purchase a kit, then I'll sort of research what other add-ons there are in regards to, photo etch and resin parts. I'll order all that, then I'll put it all in the box, so it's all together.
Yeah.
I will say that, like, when I do competition builds, like, I am, like, my starting point is different.
Yeah.
Like, when I'm just building a kit for me, it's sort of like, oh, yeah, I'll just crack this one open, start putting some pieces together, just throw myself into it. But with a competition build, it's like, wow, got to keep the instructions nice and neat and flat and everything like that. Try not to get any paint on it. I mean, I know Ian will photocopy his. I think that's a bit extreme for my level of...
Well, actually, since I bought myself a new printer and scanner, I've been scanning my decals.
Oh, wow.
All right.
Okay. Why?
Just in case I want to use print off something that I can use for cutting a paint mask.
Oh, that's a clever idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're thinking now, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. So what I'll do is I'll got to make sure that my references are sort of in order, and I've got like a sort of a solid starting point, which will take care of itself as I go through the build, and then I just need to worry about building it.
I find also taking photos when you're doing competition work. Taking photos of in-build, because there's some areas that you can put a lot of work in that won't be seen, and that can add maybe that extra point. Yeah,
the keyword being can. I mean, it may not,
but it helps with the judging.
Yeah, well, I mean, like you got to sort of.
Usually, a happy judge usually gives you a better score.
Anything to increase your chances, I suppose, is worthwhile, because you only get one shot, and then you got to wait for next year.
Yeah, and you catalogue everything you put in there, and you make a point list. This was put there. Cockpit was enhanced with such product.
It's really easy to stand out from the crowd if you do stuff like that too, because there'll be lots of jokers who won't even add their instructions.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, you'd be surprised, and they're the ones who usually get upset.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Did you know up in Queensland, up north, their model show, I was told they won't even accept your kit unless you've got instructions.
Wow.
That's fair enough.
Wow. Nick goes on the right, just to specify, I only build 1/35th scale armour and very, very rarely cross over to the dark sides. Ha ha ha. Well, thanks very much, Nick. Glad you're enjoying the show. And,
yeah. You got a lot of listening ahead of you, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the next one. Therese Tilrem writes in and she says, "Hi, just finished listening to your episode 111 where you talk about model shops and how they manage through COVID, especially about caring for their customers. I just want to give a shout out to my local hobby shop, Hobby M in Oslo. I restarted scale modelling in May last year, maybe after 20 years away. I needed something to do while locked inside. Entered the store as a complete noob. I got all the help I needed and have since learned lots just by talking to the staff about challenges that I met while I was building. To be honest, they had they not cared about the customers as much as they do and helping new modelers, I'm not sure they would have had this. I would have had the same enjoyment of the hobby. They have a working web store prior to COVID, and certainly helped them get through it, the 3 months of closure. And by their own word, the hobby has had a massive resurgence in Norway this last year. Keep up the good work with the podcast. I enjoy listening to you while working or modelling. All the best." And I must mention that there is now a Scandinavian podcast out of Sweden. And
fantastic.
So for all of our Nordic listeners up there, so I think I'm pretty sure the language crosses pretty well. So Norway, Denmark, Sweden, they can all sort of understand each other. So it should be it's great to see another local podcast popping up, and maybe we can see if we can reach out to him and have a chat with him. That'd be really cool.
Yeah. Yes.
Some news from Horizon Models. They've launched a promotion for the month of May, and I think it's still continuing to tell you the truth, to celebrate the 60th anniversary of Alan Shepard's historic flight into space. Now, they are saying to celebrate this anniversary, Horizon Models is pleased to offer a never-to-be-repeated special price for their two most popular kits, which is the Mercury Atlas and the Mercury Redstone, for just under $60 US together. Worldwide postage and packing included. This offer finishes on the 31st of May 2021. So I think we've just squeezed in there, hopefully.
Yeah.
Got that in time. Great kits. If you're looking at building 1/72nd scale, the early Atlas and Mercury missions, you need to go past and check out Horizon Models. They're just fantastic. I've built a number of them now, and they're just a lot of fun.
Yep.
Gordon Sorensen writes in, "Hi, Dave and Julian. Enjoy the podcast and the latest one about the perfect brick and mortar hobby shop reminded me of an article which he posted to us. It's about, it was actually posted in japantimes.co. And apparently that article said that we weren't really too far off base from what we were talking about, which is nice to know.
Yeah.
He actually likes some of the older kits, even the Heller ones. And he says, sorry, Julian. Dave, when you were in Toronto and you visited Wheels and Wings, you must have gone to the basement Mecca and saw all the older Frog, Matchbox and other long-forgotten kits. I did. And for anybody who's in Toronto, you need to drop past Wheel and Wings. It has to be one of the best hobby stores that I've sort of come across in recent times. Yeah, so definitely go and check that out. And he also sent some photos of his latest kit that he's working on, which is a boomerang. So that is from Gordon Sorensen in Quebec, Canada.
Thank you, Gordon.
Well, hopefully it's not the special hobby kit.
Why, I've got
In
that.
48.
I've got that kit. And I know one of our listeners has built that kit. You've done a pretty good job.
Oh, there you go.
I'm sure you can do a very good job. You can do a fantastic job, but that doesn't make the starting point any more weary.
Well, what other choice you got? The LTD kit.
Yeah, I know. It's the best there is. You can't complain, I suppose.
That's right.
Well, actually, I can complain.
Yeah.
Someone should do a better job.
Ben Flood writes in, hey guys, it was great to hear about your shopping trip to the House of War in the recent episode. The only Victorian and possibly Australian bricks and mortar store that carries a good range of kits for us figure modelers. Ian, you chose nicely with a great kit. I also have Journeyman's Road Girl in the stash to do as well. Remember, she only has one eye to paint, so that makes things a little bit easier for the face painting.
Yeah, but she's judging you.
Yes.
She's got that look on her face that she's judging you.
Figure modelers don't have much to choose from here in Oz or through the general hobby shops, so we have to rely on online sales. It's a good thing there are several brilliant Aussie internet-based sellers in the way of Spec Mod Models, Stonebeard and Firestorm that cater for us with some exceptional pieces. Anthony,
And may I add something? I was in our local hobby shop, the Hobby Man,
And you bought a
last
thing.
week, as I always do. Yes, I picked up the Copper State Models Italian armoured car. But they now are stocking scale 75 figures.
Oh, okay.
So they've got the whole scale 75 paint range, everything, pallets, the whole lot, and they're now stocking their range of figures, fantasy, history, and all that sort of stuff. So local hobby store that is stocking for the figure modelers out there.
There you go. Ben continues on. Anyway, keep up the great work on the podcast. It's always informative, and it's a pleasure to listen to your banter when I'm at the bench. Ben Flood from Victoria, Australia. So he's a local boy to us.
Ben is a great bloke and a great figure modeler.
I was thinking that name sounded familiar.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, he first came to my major attention when he did his Mad Max Interceptor.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh.
But and then I've just started noticing all his figures and just gone, okay, this is the whole next level. The guy's got amazing talent. Very great modeler. A lot of respect for him.
David Waples writes in, hi Dave, I've been playing with UV resin for a while. I started with a Bondix set and like you found that the battery lost power when the light wasn't as effective. I bought the Solar Res set, which includes a thin hard, thick hard, and also a flexible one. And I found the thin hard to be perfect for modelling use and other two pretty much worthless. The light is incredibly bright and produces a lot of heat. I left the light on by mistake facing down on the desk, and when I picked it up after a few minutes, it was extremely hot to touch. The stuff works extremely well. Bit of caution, UV glue is only good if you can get the light to it, so otherwise it remains in a liquid state. I've seen some people try to glue fuselage halves together with it and it just doesn't work because the light can't get to the glue in the tight joint. I've been using it for ringing and reinforcing some joints where there are some gaps and light can easily get into it. Good luck, Dave Waples. Now, because I've been on a little bit of a journey with using UV-activated super glue. And I went and bought El Cheapo one online that comes with, on one end it's got the glue that comes out, you squeeze it out, and the other end it's got the UV light that you press and activate it. And I think the issue with it, to get it to actually work properly, I had to make sure that all the lights in my build room are completely turned off. So I'm thinking that the UV light wasn't very strong, which is leading me down the path to perhaps looking at purchasing a dedicated UV torch. You know, those little ones that are about, I don't know, 4 or 5 inches long, and using that. Because I was using it, or am using it, for both rigging and also for photo etch, just to see how I go. So it's been a little bit hit and miss, and I'd certainly appreciate anybody out there who's had success with UV activated super glue to give us a hoy. You can send us an email to onthebench64@gmail.com and let us know how you guys have been going with it. So thanks very much, David, for that email.
Yeah.
Paul Alexander Crystal wrote in. So here is a humorous topic you may want to discuss for 5 minutes. And apologies if you've already done this in the past. What's the oldest model kit you've come across? I think most of us got a chuckle out of the cup of noodles that you talked about last year, and we all just went, yep, that's Japan. But I mean a kit where you just went, why? Who is building something so specific that they would need that? For me, it was when I came across the 1/350 scale North Star Models Japanese Navy marching band in 3D figures.
I thought the same when I saw that. I'm going, yep. Not a big seller.
Yeah. I said, oh, yeah, those guys just couldn't be further from any other nation, but why a Navy marching band? So if you're looking for a British Army marching band at 1/350, you need to keep looking, apparently. I just got a huge laugh for a moment and was wondering if this had happened to you folks, and if so, what it was. All the best. And that's from our good friend Paul Alexander Crystal, one of our Patreon supporters.
Oh, I'm trying to think what kit there's been so many I've looked at and gone, why? But
my memory's terrible. I'm struggling to think of it. I know I've seen them. I just can't remember.
Like one, for example, Hasegawa bought out a school desk.
Oh, did they really?
Why?
What scale was it?
1/12 or something. Why?
Yeah, but that's kind of Japan, isn't it? I mean, they've got like a big enough of a market that they can afford to do like lots of civilian stuff.
Yeah.
And very esoteric.
Another one for me, which a lot of people might find a bit controversial and not agree with me, is animal figures for armor.
Yeah, you know what? I'm with you there.
Like
I just don't get
the heads and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's like, why make something that's a tragic circumstance like war and turn it into something funny?
Yeah, and
war's not a joking matter. Look, you might be able to do a diorama with a funny thing in it, but you don't really want to make it into a funny subject.
Do you think perhaps it's because you're doing the diorama and by putting like an animal figure there, you're just giving that sort of, shift of perspective slightly?
Wait, when you say animal figure, you mean like tank stopped off for?
No. But I mean, like the crew, the whole crew are like hippos, humanized, amorph.
Okay, all right.
They're like the furry people.
Yeah, big heads.
Yeah, so they look like they're out of a Disney cartoon or something.
Yeah. It's like, why?
Oh,
yeah, it's kind of a bit weird.
Yeah, it's like
I haven't seen that before.
Yeah.
Well, it must appeal to somebody, otherwise they wouldn't, go and do it, would they?
Yeah, that's
go
true.
Build it.
I don't know. There's always someone out there who's like, "Oh, I built this for me, and if other people like it, then I'm sure they exist." And it's like, no, man, it's just you.
Exactly.
We're all weird, but you're weirder.
Yes, you've taken it to the whole next level, Sunshine.
Chris Meddings sent us an email. Go, Chris.
Hey, Chris.
Hey, guys, listening to the latest pod, Euro Militaire died due to poor management. Scale model.
Oh, no.
Yeah, Scale Model Challenge is now the premier European show, and if anything, it's even bigger and definitely better. Be happy to tell you guys about it one day if you like.
Yes. Yes. I was a huge fan of getting the, once a year, getting the Euro Militaire annual show magazine. And it was usually a big fat magazine, and there's some great inspiration in that. Those European figure modelers are amazing talent.
Ethan Idenmill, a very good friend, writes in, G'day Benchers, thank you again for the podcast. Every time I listen to it, it motivates me to get out of my garage and build something, which is a problem because I usually listening when I'm working.
Yeah.
There was a question regarding how IPMS USA manages to have a solid cadre of judges despite moving nationals every year. Yeah, we spoke about that last episode,
Yes,
and we were saying,
correct.
how the heck do they do it?
Mm.
As a nationals judge, I hope I can shed some light on this. Basically, any IPMS USA member can opt to judge at nationals. It starts with a judges meeting where they go over the general things that judges look for, e.g. fit, construction, finish, etc., etc., as well as things only to take into account if a tiebreaker is needed, e.g. accuracy. They also give out certificates and pins to people who have judged certain categories for a certain number of years, which starts at 3 years. When in the model contest room, judges mark their attendance on a sheet if they have judged in years past, or they write down their contact information if this is their first time judging. Someone who has not judged before is always placed with a team member with more experienced judges. Special convention pins are usually given to all of the judges, and it works really well. I have judged ships since 2013, and I see many of the same people return year after year, bringing their experience to that contest room. Also, I'd just like to remind your listeners in the American Southwest that Saturday, 5th of June, IPMS San Diego will be hosting Model Expo at Gillespie Field Annex of the San Diego Air and Space Museum. Details, of course, are available at www.ipmssd.org. Best regards, Ethan.
That would be an awesome show. Not just the show, but where it's held.
Where it's held, yeah, I know. Yeah. Wouldn't it? Yeah, wouldn't it? But just to pick up on some of the things there that Ethan said, so they give pins to the judges who have been, in their third year and stuff
we
like
get pizza.
that. Yeah, but I know we get pizza, but it'd be nice to, somehow recognise somebody who's done, 3 years in a row of judging and that type of stuff. And I think that's quite a good idea.
Well, I think it means more for their competitions, right? Because of how it moves around.
Mm.
Yeah.
Or was that the right event or not?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So I mean, that would mean that you're so dedicated that you follow it around the country, right?
Mm.
Yeah. Whereas here, I think almost everybody who turns up, maybe 60% of everybody who turns up does it every year.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't have any meaning.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, no.
Sorry. It's not that it wouldn't have any meaning. It's that its meaning wouldn't be the same, right? It means sort of oh, well, you're so attached to judging 35th scale armor that you're essentially no-lifing it at this point, aren't you?
Yeah, but
you're a little too attached.
But I still think though it's a huge, for somebody to put their hand up and say I'm going to do judging, you're looking at taking 8 hours out of your weekend at that particular show to do it.
Yep.
It's not an easy or simple task where you just rock up and go, yeah, that one there. It's quite involved.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the way perhaps
that's the off-putting. Yeah, that's the off-putting thing. That's why they don't get many people putting their hands up to judge down here.
Well, that's why I'm saying looking at the IPM.
But whereas if they had more people, it would go quicker.
Yeah, and that's why I'm saying looking at the IPMS way of doing things where you award a person a pin for doing the judging, from 3 years onwards, it's not perhaps a bad way to go.
Yeah. I see your point. Yeah, definitely.
Good thoughts.
Yeah.
Alton Rooney writes in and says, "Hi guys, I've been listening to your podcast for a while and really enjoy it. I think you have a great mix of personalities. That said, I feel I must take you to task on your generalisation about model kit manufacturers. I think you are doing a great disservice to less experienced modelers by categorising all kits of certain manufacturers as crap and kits from other manufacturers as great. My experience with kits is completely different. This might be because my modelling interests are different from yours. These days, I've moved from military modelling to airliners, civil aircraft, helicopters, trainers, and special scheme or display aircraft in 1/72nd and 1/44th scale. The problem with generalising about kit manufacturers is that most companies rebox older kits and or kits from other manufacturers. So if you buy a 1/72nd scale Tamiya, which is a good manufacturer, as a helicopter kit, is extremely likely to be an Italeri mould or in a Tamiya box. I'm currently building a Hasegawa, another good manufacturer, S3 Viking 1/72nd scale in NASA markings. Even the new boxing of this kit contains 70s era mouldings and race panel lines with poor fit. Definitely not just an add glue in the box and shake kind of kit, but then again, I have no problem with building a difficult kit to get the aircraft I want. I have built limited run kits from Special Hobby, MPM, A Model and others because they are the only manufacturers of kits of the aircraft that I want to add my collection. If you build a 72nd scale Sea King, most people agree that the new mould Airfix, which is a bad manufacturer, in what we have to say, kit is best, although the Revell Italeri Cyber Hobby kits aren't that bad. It should be noted that the old mould Airfix 72nd Sea King is still sold in some places. I could give you many examples of the huge variation in kit quality from manufacturers, but I think you get the point. Maybe some better advice would be for people to check their references before buying a kit. For example, go to scalemates.com, which is a very good source of information about the actual content of a model kit. There are many kit reviews on different modelling websites, and Google is your friend here. So in general, I find it better not to generalise about things. Wink. Thanks and keep up your good work. Alton Rooney.
I'll take this one. So generalizing is important because a newbie is not going to like drill into the details and background of every kit that they buy like we will. They'll do that later when they're more experienced and more invested, but at the start, they're not going to care. They just want a rough direction to be pointed in.
There's many facets to this because what you're saying is correct, Julian, and that you don't want to put off new people coming into the hobby or indeed those coming back to the hobby. You don't want to put them off. But there's also the point of view, well, if that's the only kit available for that particular subject matter, then you've got to buy it and build it as best you can. But there's also my view, which is that I've got so many kits now that I need to build. I haven't got time to muck around and fiddle and finesse. And when I'm spending 70, 80, 100, 120 bucks on a kit, my expectation is at that price level. So if I'm spending 120 bucks, the kit should be pretty much straight out of the box buildable without stuffing around a lot. And if the kit manufacturers can't achieve that, then I'm going to let people know.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like if you stop sort of taking it from our perspective of someone who's really invested in the hobby and look at it from the perspective of someone who's just buying a product, right? They would say, well, that's a defective product. I bought a lemon.
But I do also understand where Alton's coming from and where he's saying, that.
Look, I think this mainly started with me bagging the crap out of the Airfix Canberra Bomber. And my main issue with that was what they charged me for that kit and the quality of what was inside the box. And they didn't match.
Yeah.
If that kit was maybe $30, I would not have a problem. But because that kit's $80 plus, and to make it a bit more accurate, like get rid of the cartoon wheels and get the accurate size wheels and other things to make it, if you want to make it accurate and look like the real thing, you're spending about another $80 odd. And the thing's probably going to end up being thrown in the bin at the end of the year because I haven't touched it in nearly 12 months.
Well, here's the thing. What about the kid?
Whereas I've got some other Airfix kits in my collection that look absolutely gorgeous, and what I've heard online and from other people that have built them are magic kits.
Like the Hellcat.
The Hellcat has some issues here and there and can be a challenge to build. But for example, the Walrus is a nice kit to build. In 48.
Yeah, so, but going back to the original source of this is we're talking about giving a recommendation to a newbie. Like if you let's say that, like, picture yourself in a conversation with a newbie, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you start overwhelming them with like, Airfix are good, but not that kit, not this kit, and if you get this kit, you got to do this to it, and they'll just go, that's more information than I need right now.
Well, actually, with a newbie, Julian, you just go, what do you want to build?
Yeah.
And then they'll go, well, I want to build an aeroplane. What's an aeroplane? I want to build a Mustang. All right. What scale? And ask them a few more questions. And then once you've got the information, you go, right, this is the kit for you.
Yeah. Tamiya. There you go. Done.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Tamiya, Bandai, something that basically, as you said, falls together. For a newbie, someone who's just starting off, that's the way to go.
But even saying just a Tamiya, you can get caught out because it could be a Reebok kit.
Yeah, no, but that's why we're talking about the case where you're giving advice to a newbie.
Yeah, but Tamiya doesn't Reebok crappy kits.
Yeah, even the Reeboks of
Italy stuff's really nice. I remember their Hurricane they bought out in 48 scale was a beautiful kit. That came highly recommended when that came out.
Yeah,
it's just one of them subjects. We've all got our own views.
I mean, my
You going?
You there, Julian? I think we've lost Julian.
I think Julian just blew his microphone.
I think you have blown his microphone.
Yes, he went spring. And off he went.
All right, we might take a short break and see if we can get him back. Okay, so we got Julian back. You had some issues with your cable on the back of your microphone.
Yeah, something like that.
Technical issue.
Yeah.
Just finishing up on that subject.
Yeah, so basically, he sort of got onto me about generalizing, but generalizing.
Not got onto you, just making a statement.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. But people generalizing becomes a dirty word these days. People like to go, you're not being specific enough. You're generalizing. It's not fair. It's like, well, generalizing has a use, right? It's about covering things broadly because the details require too much, tunnel vision.
True.
You can't how else am I supposed to throw a rough guide over an entire manufacturer? Like, I'm not here to go through their entire lineup and go, well, this one's good and this one's bad and this one's okay and this one's just a brand name carries recognition. That's the whole point of brand names, right? So you gotta, some manufacturers put a lot of effort into their quality and it elevates the status of that brand, right? You can look at that name and it says Tamiya and you go, well, there's probably an 80% chance you're going to land on a stellar kit. Yeah. And then you can pick a brand like Hella and go, well, there's a 98% chance you're going to land on a bad one. Right? And the anomalies, whether it be the bad kits in Tamiya's lineup or the good kits in Hella's lineup, do not invalidate all the other kits that they have.
And the other point too is that our listener base is very broad. We've got newbies starting out who are just coming along to listen to get, ideas as to how to get back into the hobby or how to start in the hobby, right across to those who are award-winning modelers who listen to the show.
Yeah, seasoned veterans.
Yeah, and those seasoned veterans well understand, and have the ability to make a silk purse out of a sow's ear. Whereas when we're sort of doing the generalisation, we're trying to steer people into something that they're going to be able to build and not be disheartened by or disenfranchised. So we're trying to meet the entire market views as well as bringing our own bias into it as well. So, look, I'd take on the chin what has been said, and no problems with it whatsoever, and that's a very good point and a good view. But I think by and large we do hit the mark.
Oh, we try to.
We try to anyway. Yeah.
We're only human, Dave. We all make mistakes too. Look, I've bought some kits and I thought were going to be great and turned out to be absolute pieces of garbage.
Yeah.
It happens to the best of us.
Yeah. D. Luton writes in, "Hi, Dave. Could you please thank Ian, but tell him it's okay in regards to some German swastika flag decals. I've picked some up at a local swap meet this morning, which is exactly what I needed, the right size, and was printed on cotton.
Even better.
It was a really great swap meet I went to today, not as tightly packed as the last few years. There was no competition because of the rushed organisation, but enough tables and specials there to keep everybody busy. I even took the Minister of War and Finance with me, and she had an absolute ball. She found a coffee table for the spouses, and after that she fitted in completely. In fact, I had to wait for her to finish talking before we could leave."
Well, there's a first. So people that run these swap and sells, here's an idea for you.
Yeah.
Have a section aside for the wives.
D goes on to ask, "Have you ever used a wet palette when using brushes? It's something
Yes.
I have only just started, but for blending colours, it's superb. Plus, it's virtually free because I use an old Chinese takeaway food container as the base." And also, just a short comment on model comps pros and cons. How about a private section for people who would like their builds critiqued by a judge without having them judged besides other modelers, and also out of the public eye? I would pay an entry fee for this to be done. Anyway, thanks again for keeping me sane during the long nights. Cheers, D. What do you reckon about that idea?
I like that idea.
I do too.
Like it's just a feedback, service. That's all it is.
Yeah, feedback table.
But will the judges have the time?
No, all you do is you sit some guy. I mean, like we already have like a desk at our model expo where some guy just mans a desk and hands out raffle tickets and things.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, like there's no reason why there couldn't be like a similar table. I mean, anyone could set up a table and just go, "I'm here to provide feedback."
Yeah. Yeah, you could do that. Yeah.
I think that's something that IPMS needs to look at quite closely, not just in Australia but around the world. I think that's an excellent idea. I really do.
And how else are you supposed to get feedback on the event if you're not getting a judge's opinion?
And
the next best thing is like, and a judge, puts themselves out there and says, "I'll give you some feedback."
And feedback that's not going to belittle you or make you feel like a git.
Oh, yeah,
yes.
definitely.
Yeah.
You gotta have a bit of bedside manner there.
Christopher Church writes in, long-time listener, you mentioned purchasing the Academy F111 during episode 112. I built the Academy EF111 last year, a kit that I've had in my stash since 1995. Not an easy build, but still worth the effort. I've posted some photos on ScaleMates if you're interested. All the best to you, Ian and Julian. Really enjoyed listening. Christopher Church in Springdale, Arkansas, USA.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah, I've had buyer's remorse since buying that F111.
Why?
Well, two reasons. Number one, I'm questioning whether it will actually fit into the display cabinet. Number two, I'm just struggling to find the mojo to sort of even sort of look at it. So, having said that, I've already started buying aftermarket parts for it. I've got the canopy masks, thank you, and also some aftermarket seatbelts I picked up the other day as well. So,
cool.
Yeah, I'll get there. I will. I'll get there.
I think I've got the Hobby Boss one in my collection somewhere.
Well, apparently, I think you've got the worst kit. I think the Academy one's better.
Oh, for what I paid for it was worth it.
Bob Bear writes in, hi guys, another great podcast. Thanks for keeping me entertained on the long drives. In podcast number 111, you were discussing twin-engine fighters and why the P-38 succeeded where others failed. And here is the list as to why. Number one, Kelly Johnson.
Yes.
That's all that's on the list.
Yep. The man who gave us Skunk Works.
It's funny, when I read that, I was thinking, back on how we were discussing why twin-engine fighters failed, and I'm wondering, well, would you consider the Mosquito a fighter as well? Because it was used as a night fighter.
Mosquito was multi-role.
Yeah, and then there was the Junkers 88. That did reasonably well as a night fighter.
Yeah, Messerschmitt 110.
Your favourite one in the end, the Black Widow?
Yeah, the Black Widow, twin engine.
Yeah.
That was a fighter, yeah.
Anyway, good food for thought, Bob. And Bob hails from Charlotte, North Carolina.
Lovely.
Good on you. Thanks, Bob, for the email. We appreciate it. Now, Brian Latour writes in, hello, I listened to your last podcast on whether competitions are good for the hobby and want to offer and add my 2 cents. Having a healthy relationship with your hobby is something I've thought about a lot over the past few years, and here is my take. Competitions are good for the hobby. Competitiveness is bad for the hobby. Model shows are run for fun, but when you get too competitive about things, it is very easy to fall into traps where we end up comparing ourselves to others and have our self-worth wrapped up in external validation from awards and trophies. Or, if you're online, the number of likes you get on your post. This is a recipe for disaster and can easily manifest itself in very negative ways. You either get frustrated with other people for being better than you or frustrated with yourself for not being good enough. It can either make you miserable or turn you into a jerk. I wrote something a little while ago on competitions, and here it is. In model competitions, it's vitally important to keep things in perspective. Be humble in victory and gracious in defeat. By entering into the contest, you have agreed to accept the judge's decisions, so no grumbling about which model should have won. No one likes a sore loser, and being a sore winner is even worse. If you have a competitive personality, take some time in the morning of the show and before the award ceremony to get into the right headspace. Remember that in the grand scheme of things, awards don't matter, and in the 1, 2, 3 system, they are as much a measure of who else showed up that day as they are a measure of your objective skill. Expect to win nothing and be pleasantly surprised when you do hear your name called at the awards ceremony. The worst thing you can do is get your self-worth all tangled up in awards and trophies. That way leads to ruin. I think it's important to keep 3 things in mind at these shows. Number 1, everyone who is proud enough of their work to show it off at the contest is a winner, period, full stop. Number 2, finding inspiration on the tables is more valuable than any other plaque or medal. And number 3, the real prizes are the friends you make along the way. It's cheers from Brian Latour.
Great
that was a pleasant post, wasn't it?
What a great email.
Jeez, absolutely. Wow. Brian, you've nailed that. I got nothing to add. He's said everything.
No, yeah.
At the very start, I was wondering if I kind of slightly disagreed in some parts of it, but then I thought about it. It's like, yeah, I do know people who are just way too competitive. They get completely sucked into the whole competition, and they get really shirty.
And you see them at the end of the show when they're just crestfallen.
Yeah, not even crestfallen. I'm not sure if it's even like I'm sure those people exist, but I've seen people who get very they feel like they've been cheated. Like people owe them the victory or something.
Yep.
You know. It reminds me of something I've read before about younger generations that have grown up with social media and how it's sort of training their brain to seek out those likes and accolades that the internet bestows on them, for a post.
Mm-hmm.
The dopamine hit, I'm feeling a little bit down. I know I'll post something on Twitter or Facebook or something, and all these people will give a little like or a love heart or a happy face or something, and I feel better again.
Oh,
it's not healthy.
People fishing.
Yeah, it's not healthy,
No.
I can see how it would overlap with competitions, how like seeking the validation of others for your own happiness. It's like.
Don't forget, there's a small segment of the market out there, and I've seen this in other clubs for other things like, even in emergency services, for example, where people join like the local volunteer fire brigade, or they'll join, a football club or something like that. That's their bread and butter, their whole reason for their existence type thing. And so I can well understand where people, when they get into modelling, they apply the same sort of, all in or nothing sort of mentality, because it's the only way that they can, it's how they see themselves.
Validate.
Not validate their existence, but they've got nothing else in their lives.
Yeah, but they should endeavor to find them, because tying yourself to one thing in life is just really, really unhealthy. It's like like if you imagine like the guy who's like a sprinter, right? His whole life is running, and then one day he gets in a car accident and loses a leg. What's he going to do now? Like his whole world crashes down around him.
Look, I agree 100%, Julian, and I'm not saying that what I'm saying is correct. What I'm saying is that those people are out there and exist.
Yeah,
that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, you often see like all the sort of photos of various competitions around Europe, and you'll notice that there'll be like one model that appears in every single one of them. It's like, really, there's a guy who's traveling to literally every show in all of Europe, taking his model everywhere he goes.
Yeah.
That's either he's living an easy life and having a good fun of it.
He'd probably have to do that.
Really attached to the accolades of others
that others
put on him.
Years ago at Model Expo in Melbourne, we had a guy from Europe show up with a Lancaster or a Halifax or something, but he brought all the way in from Europe.
Wow.
Apparently that's what he does. He just travels the world. He must be financially stable enough to travel around the world. He loves his hobby. And he goes to all different model shows around the world and just brings his kit with him.
Yeah, well, when you're at that sort of level of dedication, there's only two options. Either you're going to be
professional,
really professional and well adjusted about it, or you're going to be sort of like off the deep end, completely sort of weird out about it.
Stay away from that character. He's a bit weird.
Well, thanks for that, Brian. That was really well written and thought out piece of advice. Michael Thompson writes in, "Hi guys, I thought an interesting topic of conversation would be how much time do you spend researching a subject before building it? I'm one of those modelers who spends probably far too much time on pre-build research, which often leads me changing my mind on the final paint scheme, but I really do enjoy this aspect as much as the building. I do kind of envy those who just build things out of the box without much concern for researching minute details and looking for original photos, etc. for weeks before starting a build as I do. Thanks for the podcast, Michael." I can just pick a kit up and build it out of the box.
See, this is the difference between people who build models because they appreciate history, and people who build models because they love building models.
Yep.
But what Michael does is just as just as good because he's really getting right down that rabbit hole. And so long as long as it's not taking away from the enjoyment of building it, I wouldn't worry too much, Michael.
So I've done that with me Marauder.
I know you can be a real crank.
Yeah, and that's why I've had to put it away for a bit. It's just it's
real
beheading.
Yeah, I know a few models who are like that. They'll get really invested in a particular person's, like story and history, and they'll just go, you know what, this guy's too cool. I just need to build this guy's main thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean that's cool. It adds a little extra spice to your modeling, an extra dimension, I suppose. It can also drag you down because if you don't exactly nail that, it can be pretty disheartening.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
Yeah, but also when you start going down that rabbit hole, that's when you start finding all the things the manufacturers have missed, or they've fluffed and made a slight error in a calculation. And
yeah, there's no happiness once you go down that path.
Yeah, exactly. That's when that's when it really starts sucking your soul out through your.
I saw this build that popped up recently from a Japanese modeler where he'd built was it either Hawker Fury or Hawker Tempest or one of them sort of era prop fighters, the one with the radial engine.
Yeah.
And he's overlaid like the profile of the Airfix kit over the the proper drawings, and they're off by tiny like 0.02 of a certain angle, right? Like it almost looks like it perfectly covers it, but it just doesn't. And he's like, well, I'm gonna have to fix that.
No, that's going a bit ridiculous.
And he riveted the entire plane using a one of those beading tools.
Also, each one individual.
Yep, the entire airframe.
Crazy.
Well, good luck to him, I reckon. But that's not the model building for me.
No.
Yeah. I mean, look, it was a fantastic model, and I kind of look at that and go, "Yeah, you keep going, dude. That's good work that you're doing." But I can't bring myself to go to that level. No, that's
you don't have enough hours in the day.
It's not that. It's just like
days in your life.
Well, it's not that. I've got the time, right, to some degree. I just don't have the motivation. Like there's the motivation tank, and I know how much there is for any given build, and I just know that I would never have. Like I'm coming up short by I wouldn't even have 1/10 of what's required to finish a project like that.
Yep.
Like I would get started, I would get to the 10% mark and go, that's it, I'm done. I just want to throw this thing in the bin. Even though I've had no issues, no problems getting to this point, I can't bring myself to do any more of it. I just don't want to see this thing anymore.
No patience anymore, Julian.
That's it. It's out. I'm gone.
Well, that's usually when you put it aside and you start another project, and then you go, "Oh, I'll get back to that." I got it with me England. England took a few years because I just did work on it till it etched me, till it sucked me dry, and then I put it away for a bit.
But see, for me, there's no guarantee that I will ever have that enthusiasm again.
Again, right? I see.
Like for example, for you, Ian, you've gone off the European conflict, as you say.
Yep.
Right.
Yet I'm still building European conflict kits.
Well, I mean, it would be like you building like a half-finished Focke-Wulf right now.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean, you've built so many Focke-Wulfs, and then you've gone off the conflict. You've moved on to World War I, armored cars and other genres and figures and all sorts of things. And looking back at that period of your time in the hobby is sort of like, I don't really want to go back there, right?
Not at the moment, but not to say I won't in the future.
Yeah, but see, I know that I won't. I know that I won't. Yeah. Like once that chapter is closed, it's closed.
Yeah, right. You burn the bridge.
That's right. I'm a bit that way.
Nuke the site from orbit and move on.
Yeah.
Our next email comes from Brad Belsham, who writes, "Hey guys, totally agree with the comments in the last episode about Copper State Models Great War armoured car kits. Here is a 90% complete Canadian armoured MG carrier Love the
He's built one
podcast.
too.
And
Cool.
I've sent you in the email so you can have a look at the pictures of his almost completed Canadian armoured MG carrier. And
Cool.
good job there, Brad. Looks really good.
I'm just opening it up now. Excellent. Excellent. Yeah, I'm having a look at it now. That's exactly how I envisioned mine.
Yeah.
Yes. So, now I've just got to figure out what colour he used. That looks amazing. Yep. Yep. That's it. Just keep talking, guys. I'm looking at this picture.
No worries. Derek Post writes in, gentlemen, yes, I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt. Just wanted to send a thanks. No building is going on as I'm remodeling my house, but enjoy and have exhausted all the episodes while I work away. When I'm building, it's typically in 148 scale Warbirds or 1/144th airliners. Thanks for a great podcast. And thanks for the email, Derek.
You're more than welcome.
Absolutely. Now, Tim from the UK writes in, hello again, Australian friends. I've not been able to catch all your podcasts lately, but I did enjoy the discussion on modelling competitions. In answer to Julian's question about whether audience would come without a competition, would come to a competition without putting it in, here at IPMS UK shows the competition element is often very small. Probably more 90% of models on display are club displays and special interest group tables and are purely for display and discussion. The competition element is often quite minor. Even at the Scale Model World Telford show, it is a separate, quieter room away from the main display halls. Personally, I welcome the chance to display models, chat about them with passers-by, and not have any pressure to make them to competition standard. Don't tell anyone, but since I build tiny 1/44 scale planes permanently affixed to vignette bases, sometimes I don't even apply decals to the wing undersides. All the best, Tim Young from Yorkshire in England. And he's also now got an Instagram account, which is Tim's Vignettes.
That's very interesting. I find that approach interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of, I mean, I get it because like that is such a small scale. And, you know, like when you put it on a base, it's literally, the wings are maybe 1.5 centimeters off the ground, if that.
Not even.
So I understand that, but I wouldn't do that myself just because it's almost like once you get in the habit of not eating the last 10% of your meal, like you just end up doing that all the time. And then eventually becomes 15% is how I kind of feel about it. Like, I think it's a slippery slope. I could never miss that portion of a model just because I wouldn't want to get in the habit of not doing it.
Yeah. Whereas when I look at it this way, that if you're doing nothing but 1 to 144 scale, you're going to be knocking out a lot of kits a year. And if you're not building for competition, you're only building like the club displays with your own personal use. Well, yeah, that way you can knock them out really quick and have a huge display with tons of different aircraft. And if they're glued to the bases, you can't see them.
You know what? I think probably the biggest limitation in that scale is if you're a dedicated 144th guy, is you'd run out of subjects.
Oh, no.
You'd run out of kits.
No.
There's not enough kits out there.
Oh, there are. Trust me, there are.
Oh, but yeah, I mean, like, we're
plus we've
assuming
got,
that you're not willing
Beacon coming up around the horizon too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but they're not like a powerhouse like Tamiya that can turn out like, 5 kits a year or something like that.
Well, if everybody gets behind and supports their Kickstarter, they will be a powerhouse.
Yeah.
So Beacon Models, go and check it out.
I hope they get there. I hope they do. They deserve
They've
it.
been doing figures. Have you seen the figures?
Yeah,
they're fantastic.
Yeah.
Ground crew and on great stuff.
Yeah, good on
These
them.
guys have got great talent.
Okay, Archie Somerville writes in, hi Dave, Ian and Julian. Having nearly finished my first ship, being the Tamiya Bismarck, I want to buy another model ship and the Yamato stands out. From what I've heard, the Tamiya kit is the way to go, but but being young, I have a very tight budget, being only £25 a month. I might have to go looking for another manufacturer in the hope that I can get it cheaper. I have a couple of kits still in the stash that will keep me going a few months, and I've got a birthday coming up in September. The Bismarck was my first ship, and I found photo etch was my friend, and I love the difference that it made.
Good man.
So I'm not shy getting a worse quality kit and upgrading it. Are you aware of any cheaper kits and photo etch so that I can have another big World War II battleship on my shelf?
Okay, I'll take this one.
Yeah.
You've got two choices of Tomato in 1 to 350. You've got the original boxing of the Yamato.
Just lean into your microphone a bit more, mate.
Oh, got to be quiet, is it?
Yeah.
How's that? Better?
Yeah, much better.
All right. So, yeah, you've got your original boxing Yamato, which is very old, probably talking 1970s quality. And then they've got the new one they released, I think, probably about 10 years ago. Now, the newer one is the way to go, but it is about 3 or 4 times more expensive. But on the other hand, if you're going to go down that rabbit hole of going crazy with photo etching and accessories to make it look like the expensive kit, you're probably going to end up spending more money anyway. So it might be one of those things where it might be, look, this is my goal, so I'm going to put X amount of dollars aside or pounds or whatever every month and just be patient, and eventually you'll have the cash for it. You might even see one coming up in a swap meet.
Yeah, swap meet's the way to go too.
Yep.
Oh yeah. If you're on a tight budget, that's where it's at. You should find the swap mates near you.
Mm-hmm.
You can pick up a bargain.
Yep.
You might even find one where they've got all the aftermarket already bought and in the box.
Yeah, that's what I mean. The premium edition Tamiya is pretty much built out of the box.
Also, you could always consider like dropping down a scale if you're not building. I'm not sure if you're building. He's talking 1/350, right?
Yeah, 1/350.
Yeah. You could go drop down to 1/700. I don't know if that's something you want to do, but that's usually when people are younger, they will start off in the smaller scales because they're more affordable, and they've got the eyes to build them with.
True.
Yes.
And another option that I don't think I've ever touched on before, but in forums, model forums, there's usually a little section for wanted to buy, wanted to sell. So keep your eye on them and look at specific modelling forums, particularly like ship ones. There is a modelling ship forum, which I'd recommend you go and have a look at as well. Just typing model ship forums and it will bring it up for you, Archie. And they have a section there of kits for sale and kits wanted to buy. And you can negotiate with the individual for a better price if it doesn't meet your budget. Yeah. So, yeah, try that one. Stay away from eBay, I'd recommend. And also on Facebook, there's a lot of model kit markets there now as well. There's another place to perhaps look, and you get some bargains there too. Yep.
There's also there might also be in the UK one of those sort of companies like we have here, and there's another one in the US where they buy up deceased estates models and resell them.
Yep.
So you'll be able to get like some pretty good or rare kits for quite cheap. I think there's Sprue Brothers and what's the other ones? And there's another one called Sprue something or other.
Was it Model Nerds down here?
Yeah, I think there's also Model Nerds and something like that. Yeah. There's a highly.
And those guys.
There's not one of those companies in the UK.
Yep.
Very good. Well, that's about it for our mailbag, and gee, that was nearly on a full hour of mail that we went through, so that was awesome. Thanks everybody else for writing in. Of course, if you want to write in, you can do so by sending us an email to onthebench64@gmail.com. You can also go to our Facebook page and leave a message there, but I'm struggling with Facebook lately, so I might miss the message if you do send it there, so apologies. But emails always get through, so that would be where I would be aiming to. If you want to get hold of us, certainly go that way. Well, the only thing we've got left really is from what the Falcon's written in about. So, shall we dive?
We've missed one major thing that happened too.
Oh, what's that?
Squadron's been bought.
Squadron has been bought, yes. What are your thoughts on that, gentlemen?
Well,
wait and see.
Wait and see.
Wait and see. Yeah. Well, I can't look. I don't know the name of the fellow who purchased it or the company, but I do know that they have a lot of large companies, model companies under their belt, like distributor companies. So I think one of the companies, people will correct me if I'm wrong, but Free Time Models. I think he was involved with Free Time.
That's a great. I've dealt with him a number of times, and I found
me too. Great company, yeah.
Great service, yeah. Well,
yeah.
that bodes well then for Squadron.
Yeah. So it's great for our North American friends, because with losing Squadron, that was a big hole.
Well, Squadron had been going down, in recent times anyway. But if it can be revived, fantastic. It only can help the hobby.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's good for the hobby.
Excellent. All right, let's see what the Falcon's got to say about what's new in the modelling world. First of all, he writes and says, "Hi, Dave, Ian, and Julian. Hello, Falcon. Aircraft kit releases. Kinetic will release another boxing of their 48 scale F-16. The latest release will be the F-16 Block 40 Israel Air Force Braquet with weapons." I hope I spelt that right. Braquet. Pronounce that right. I'd so love the Israel Air Force camouflage scheme. I reckon it looks really hot.
Oh, the desert scheme.
Yeah, it looks great. Apparently Armour Hobby have a second boxing of their 148 scale PLZ P11C heading out. The first release was the so-called expert set with PE and masks, and the new one is the non-expert set without any of the extras. So if you consider yourself an expert, don't buy the latest kit. It's not for you. There's only 2 decal options, both of which are for the Polish Air Force. AVI models will soon release their 72nd scale Kawanishi E7K2 ALF. Unlike the old Hasegawa kit, this is the radial engine version as commonly seen in the early years of the war. 72nd scale. A&A models will release a new version of their 148 scale GB Racer, the GB R1/Z 1934 model. In 48 scale, that'd be pretty... I
remember having the old Williams one in 32nd, and that was tiny.
Oh, was it? In 32nd scale it was tiny? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's better, it's better than putting it in 72nd scale, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure the third of the aeroplane was engine.
Yeah. RS model to release a 172nd scale kit of the Czech interwar biplane, the Aero A101, and they'll also be releasing a kit of the related AB201. Apparently, RS models have showed some sprue pics, so they're expecting it to be out very soon. Zukimura, via the Old Man blog, outlined their plans for the upcoming 32 scale ME109 and F190 kits. Zukimura intend to release multiple versions of both aircraft. There's going to be the Focke-Wulf 190 kits will include the A3, A4, A5, A6, A8 and D9 versions. And the Messerschmitt 109 series will begin with the 109G-14 and then follow that with the G2 and G4, finishing with the inevitable G6. Zukimura have provided plenty of CAD renders showing an impressive level of detail, but as usual, the usual ZM Zukimura style, much of it will never be seen again once the model is built, but of course you'll know it's there. I've got to say that is really exciting news for those of you who like building the 109 and also the 190, and it's interesting. It's going to be in 32nd scale, so that's the large scale, really, isn't it? So it'll be pretty cool to see what that comes out to be.
Yeah, because I've often thought that there's a severe lack of 190s in 32nd scale. I mean, there's like the old Hasegawa kit, and there's the A8 from Revell. But other than that, it's kind of like an overlooked.
Hasegawa's brought out a few recently. They did the D9.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know. It's just like it feels like like the radial engine, the classic Focke-Wulf. Right?
I remember back in the 80s, you couldn't buy a 48 scale Focke-Wulf 190. No one made them.
It seems like a really obvious subject choice.
Yeah. Well,
it's like, Spitfires, Messerschmitts,
and
Mustangs and Focke-Wulfs, and a Zero, It's like, well, that's the bread and butter. Everyone should have one of those.
Yes.
Well, there you
Weird.
go. Models fit 148 scale F82FG twin Mustang is pretty much complete and will be released in the third quarter of 2021. The Shizuoka model show has just taken place. Shizuoka, thank you. Has just taken place, but there wasn't a lot in the way of new releases. Fine molds will release 4 1/72nd scale kits of the F4C/D J and J Phantom 2. That's interesting. Tamiya have a new boxing of their 148 scale Kawasaki KI61T. This time the plastic is silver plated and the green model camouflage is supplied as a decal. Sad, for as we all know, the model scheme decal means the death of the hobby. There's new boxings of the Arashima was showing 2 new boxings of their 200 scale Kawasaki C2 Transport, the prototype, and the regular Japanese Self-Defense Force version with 2 Type 16 MCVs. That's pretty much it from them. Copper State Models have reaffirmed that work continues on their 132nd scale Hansa Brandenburg D1 Star Strutter.
Yes.
They have shown advanced CAD renders and it looks as good as anything Wingnut Wings would have done, but it won't be available for a while, but well worth the wait. The next aircraft release from Copper State Model is most likely going to be the 132nd scale Bristol Scout. Rodin's 132nd scale SPAD is finally in modeller's hands, and the verdict is it's okay. It's not a CSM or Wingnut Wings quality, but it's okay. There are parts for both late and early wings, so we will see at least one other SPAD boxing in the near future.
Cool. About time.
Oh, it is. Eastern Express are working on their 1/144th scale Lockheed L118 Electra. Oh, that's really going to get the airline guys all jumping up and down and excited. Micromere have been letting us see parts for their upcoming 148 scale Junkers W34, and things are looking very good. There's no doubt the W34 was an important aircraft, but it does seem incredible that there will be a 148 kit of this type of aircraft.
I'm pretty sure that's the one that isn't that the one that Bobby Gibbs after the war used to start off his own airline in Papua New Guinea.
Yeah, may well be. And the Falcon saying the Ukraine manufacturers are sure making some very brave subject choices. Answer Plastic Kits will be releasing a further variant of their 48 scale PZL W.3 helicopter, which is a W.3 RL Sokol Polish Army search and rescue helicopter. And the kit will come with some resin parts for the radome. And Answer Kits have announced that they will be releasing both 1/72nd scale and 48 scale kits of their PLZ 104 Wilga 35 and 80, which is a STOL light utility civilian aircraft. Zvezda have just shown CAD renders for the new tool 1/72nd scale Hurricane Mark II-C. It will be one of their snap-together kits and will not require glue for assembly. Just because a snap-together kit doesn't mean it's a toy. The others in this range have been pretty good, and Zvezda say to expect to see the kit soon. Wingsy Kits 148 scale Messerschmitt ME109E1 is now on sale. This had looked very promising during development, so hopefully we will finally have a definitive 148 scale ME109E. Sova M. I haven't heard of these ones before. Sova M have announced they will be producing 3 1/72nd scale kits of the Kawasaki KDA-2 and the KDA-2 Type 88 Scout, which is Japanese light bombers. Not really 100% sure, but I think that these are going to be injection styrene kits and not resin. Armory Models have announced their next kit release will be a 1/48 scale de Havilland DH89 Dragon Rapid. Very glad to see the rumours were true, as many models will be thrilled to get the opportunity to build a large-scale model of one of the most graceful aircraft ever designed, according to
Beautiful aeroplane.
the Falcon. Armour news. Military vehicle kits on show at the Japanese Hobby Show. Let's see, a new Tool 1/72nd scale kit of the SKW 477 3.5 ton truck from Arashima. Dragon Models will be re-releasing a quartet of their 1/35th scale kits under the Mono label in Japan. And there's going to be a Panzerjäger Marder 1, the Panzer 1B, the Panzer 2F, and the long out of production T-34 1940 model. A company which is new to the Falcon, Pig model, it's pronounced P-I-G, will be releasing an injection molded 1/35th scale kit of the US Navy 5-inch 38 caliber twin gun mount. It's interesting to see. It's interesting to see this sudden, interest in building turrets and gun mounts and radars from ships.
That's a standard squarish 5-inch gun mount, twin gun mount.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
The Mark 38 or?
It's ubiquitous. You see it on all the US destroyers, on their aircraft carriers, and it was
I could
used.
see myself getting one of them.
Yeah.
I like that gun mount. Looks good.
Continuing on news from the Japanese Hobby Show, Rifle Models will release another 35th scale Tiger 1 variant. The Tiger initial production early 1943. They'll also offer us another 35th scale Sherman kit, which is going to be a M4A3 76W HVSS Sherman Korean War.
Oh, I'm sorry over the Korean War Shermans. You know how many variants there were in World War II?
Yeah,
they always come back to the same one in Korea.
Okay. Takem have announced another M60 kit. The latest M60 from Takem is going to be the M60A1 with the M9 bulldozer blade in 1/35th scale. Copper State Models have been teasing us with some CAD renders on Facebook. Close-up details without any explanation of what they are. However, there is no fooling modelers, and they knew instantly what they were looking at. The rear wheel assembly of the Russian World War I Tsar tank.
No way. No way.
And it's funny because when the Falcon wrote this, he put in brackets, pause while Ian shouts yes. Man, I would buy that.
Oh, in a flash.
Wait, in 35th scale?
Yeah, imagine the presence that would have
in
your cabinet.
What scale, though?
Oh, it'd be 1/35th.
Wow.
No, 1/35th is too big.
So, you can get 1/35th scale small coastal submarines.
Yeah, but that's the size of a cigar. You know? Like it's long, right? It's not the same as the Tsar tank. It's going to stand like 30 centimeters high or something.
Well, reading on from what the Falcon says, he says only Copper State Models know what's going on, but given the size of the Tsar tank, you would think that we'd be looking at 1/72nd scale at the most.
No.
And CSM have just announced a 1/72nd scale range, so maybe it will be in 72nd scale.
That'd be a show.
No, I think it's appropriate because there's no other tank that requires that amount of space.
I agree with Julian. It'd have to be 72nd scale.
It's like the equivalent of like a B-52. It's like.
So how are you going to keep your scale continuity?
Well, you can't.
Exactly.
Or just build in 72nd the whole time if you really care that much.
Yeah.
But Ian, who else builds a Tsar tank?
think there was years ago, there was a resin one available.
Yeah. No.
But I wouldn't know. It'd be something you'd have to scratch build normally.
Mini Art have just announced another entry into their 135th scale M3 range, an M3 Lee mid-production with Sahara crew.
Yes, I saw that this morning.
Yes, you did.
From the Jim Belushi movie, Sahara. Yeah.
The model
It comes with a figure with Jim Belushi.
The model depicts the M3 Lulu Bell that featured in the film Sahara. Perhaps, unfortunately, Mini Art's inspiration was the 1990s remake with James Belushi, not the original Humphrey Bogart, so you get a figure of the lesser Belushi instead of the screen legend Bogey. But perhaps that's what Mini Art have chosen. Maybe James Belushi is big in the Ukraine, ? Other crew figures also include Free French, British, African and Australian soldiers. Well, there you go.
The only thing they should have thrown in was the Luftwaffe pilot.
The last thing in regards to armour is Vespid Model's next 72nd scale armour kit will be a Panther OS FG, which will include a PE fret and link and length tracks. Moving on to naval news. Seen at the Japanese model show recently, Flyhawk Models 1700 scale HMS Hood 1941 will be available in 2 boxings. Both the standard and the deluxe will be available in June. Pig Model, again, that company, I've never heard of them before. Pig Model have announced a 135th scale injection moulded kit of the US Navy 5-inch caliber, which we spoke about earlier on. Apparently, RPG Model will be releasing a 135th scale kit of the Thales Netherlands goalkeeper close-in weapon system. Geez, these companies are really getting into building ship weapon systems, aren't they?
Yeah.
And I'm sure that'll really please some of our UK listeners because the goalkeeper was used extensively in the Royal Navy. Takeom have announced a 135th scale GWS 30 Sea Dart and a GWS 25 Sea Wolf missile launcher. And, of course, Takeom sort of kicked it off when they started doing those...
the Yamato and turrets. And
yeah, and didn't they also do the Sea-Wish, the close-in weapon system as well?
I think so.
Takeom are also bringing us a 1/16th scale kit of the anchors from the IJN Yamato battleship. The kit includes 2 anchors, both the main ones and ones that were mounted on the stern.
That brings us back to those kits of why.
Well, yeah,
it's like remember it was a couple of years ago. A company bought out a tank track.
Yeah,
you could purchase a tank track.
Well,
yeah. You know what?
Why?
You just reminded me. Yeah. So those 1-to-1 scale tank tracks.
Yeah.
Why? And also the large scale instrument panels that Edward make. That isn't also a why for me.
No, well, for me, I think it's a why not. I think it's a great idea.
Oh, and isn't there like sort of like doesn't what you call it Dragon make large scale like firearms?
Yes, I do.
Like small arms.
Mm-hmm.
It's not 1-to-1 though, isn't it? It's been at 1/8 or something like that.
It'll be something. I can't remember what scale it is.
Mind you, years ago, you could purchase plastic model kits 1-to-1 scale firearms.
Yeah,
but nowadays you can just buy like some off-the-shelf airsoft rifle or something like that.
Yeah.
The last announcement in naval news is Trumpeter will release a 1/350 scale kit of the USS Langley AV3 in its guise as a seaplane tender.
I saw some shots of the new Verifier Japanese aircraft carrier 1/350 scale, the Tahoe.
Yeah, looks good, doesn't it?
Very nice, because I've got their
battleship.
Missouri? Yeah, the Missouri.
Yeah.
That's a stunning kit. So if there's anything like that, it's going to be beautiful.
But
have deep pockets.
Civilian vehicles. Out of Japan, Tamiya are re-releasing their 1/12th scale Brabham BT44B Formula One car. The kit is enhanced with spun aluminium intake trumpets, photo etch parts, and cartograph decals.
An Aussie built car.
Another re-release from Tamiya is going to be the 1/24th scale Sauber Mercedes C9 with photo etch and cartograph decals, or decals I should say. Tamiya's new tool, 1/24th scale Nissan Fairlady 240 ZG will be available in June. Tamiya's 1/12th scale Honda CBR 1000 RR Fireblade and SP Black is scheduled for release in October. Oh, it's a nice bike, that one. Hasegawa have announced the new tool 1/12th scale Kawasaki KR 250 street bike, tandem twin. Meh. Let's see. There's been CAD renders shown for 1/12th scale Yamaha 5GK VMAX 04 with custom parts, and also a new tool 1/24th scale LB Works Lamborghini Huracan version 1. And that's it all from the Falcon. Thank you very much. Nice to hear from you, Falcon, as usual.
Yeah. Some interesting new kits coming out, I can tell you that.
Oh, absolutely. Guys, have you got any new stuff that...
No, I've been good this week. I haven't spent a cent.
No, I think that's. Oh well, I did buy these airbrush masks. So they're basically like for scratches on armored vehicles.
What?
All right.
Yeah, they're like little photo etch masks, and they're coming out a few different sets with variety. And then so I've got two of them they're from a Lexan model.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they're just a whole bunch of like sort of scratch. Some of them are straight lines, some of them are curves, and yeah, you just press it against your model and just airbrush a bit, you know. And then I got a third one that is like downward streaks and stuff, or like oil stains, perhaps.
Oh, interesting.
Have you actually used them yet?
No, I haven't used them yet, but they look all right. I'm a little worried that they might be a little too wide.
Yeah.
Right.
But I mean, it should be okay. It shouldn't be too bad. I think a big part of like how overdone it looks comes down to like how dark you make the color that you airbrush on, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And there's no reason why you couldn't sort of say if it's say like you couldn't use it to do like a lighter color of the camouflage color on your tank, and then come back with a brush and do like the brown of like rusty steel that's narrow in the middle of it.
Oh yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just use it as like a placement guide.
Yeah, and instead of doing it for the scratch all the way through to the steel, you can do it as the scratch through the surface layer of the paint.
Yeah. Yep. See what you mean. Interesting.
Well, now I've just had a quick look and just dive back into. Remember at the beginning of the episode where I spoke about there's a Swedish podcaster for modelling now.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And for those of our Nordic friends, please forgive my pronunciation, but
you'll never be able to pronounce that stuff.
Modelnbæger Puden is the name, as best as I can pronounce it, the name of the podcast. And there's 3 episodes up, which is really good. But if you Google, and I'll spell it, MODELLBYGGAR space PODDEN, I'm sure that will actually take you to the podcast. So good luck.
I'm expecting them to declare war against Australia within minutes because of
no.
Because your mispronunciation, you've bastardized their language to that degree.
You know what's so depressing? I mean, English is my first language, and people who speak English as a second language speak it better than I do.
Yeah, it's a worry.
It is.
You know, that's it's a funny thing, you know, because like it's often like the people who speak it natively who know the least about the language that they speak.
Yeah.
Like for example, did you know that in English, if you're saying there's a big red truck, right? The big and then the red are in a specific order.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Well, you can't say the red big truck.
No. Well, yeah, no, not in English you wouldn't, but in other
Like
languages.
if you're learning it as a second language, they teach you this, and they'll go, well, like adjectives and verbs and things, they all have a specific order that need to be said in, otherwise it doesn't sound right. But we don't even learn that. It just sort of comes about automatically, and we just sort of go through the motions.
It does.
Yeah, otherwise, we'll end up sounding like Yoda.
Just a fair warning to our fellow podcasters. I've been in touch with Alan Murrell and the Musaru 3. We're looking at it, which the guys are working on it now. So we'll find out shortly, I hope, as to what the kit will be, and it's going to be
It's up to you, Dave.
6-way competition this time. I know it's up to me. The pressure feels so bad.
It's too early for you to get intimidated yet.
Yeah. Look, I'm sure I'll be able to rise to the occasion. And you know what? We've held the cup for the last 2 years, so it'd be nice to share the love if indeed that does happen. Don't you think?
Of course.
Yeah, of course.
Definitely.
So
Dave, the one who lost the Musaru Cup, came under Dave's watch. The darkest days.
Oh dear. Okay. Well, I think that brings us to the end of the show. We're pretty much reaching a 2-hour mark. Of course, this show's been brought to you by Chris Meddings, who's become one of our latest Patreon supporters. You too can support the show by going to www.patreon.com/onthebench. And for the measly amount of just $1 a month, you can help support the show, and all contributions are greatly appreciated. Okay, sign-offs. Let's go to you, Ian.
Photo which is your friend?
Julian.
I don't know. Go build a model or something. Weirdos. Why not?
All right, guys.
What we're here for.
Thanks very much. We'll be back in a fortnight. See you later.